We're back, folks, with another It's a Whole New World gene therapy segment. You know, throughout the year, we have discussed the science behind gene therapy. We've talked about the differences between hemophilia A and hemophilia B gene therapy. We've even heard the story of the first patient commercially dosed with Hemgenix. But today we're going to focus on HTCs. Our hemophilia treatment centers are the epicenter of care in the bleeding disorder space. And now, with the introduction of gene therapy treatments, they are more critical than ever before. HTCs have been planning for this new world of gene therapy administration for a while. But now, since gene therapy for both hemophilia A and hemophilia B are commercially available, our HTCs are operationally more prepared than ever to administer this new treatment. So today, we have the pleasure of welcoming two members of the Hemophilia Alliance on the segment. If those of you that don't know, the Hemophilia Alliance is a non-for-profit organization that comprises of all of our federally funded hemophilia treatment centers, or, of course, HTCs. The purpose of the Alliance is to promote the common interests of our member HTCs. In addition to providing support through advocacy, they provide expertise and organizational support in the following areas: operations, payer relations, contract pharmacy, regulatory compliance, and legal updates that affect their practices. Today, we welcome Roland Lamy, who is the Vice President of Member and Community Relations at the Alliance, and Zack Duffy, the Director of Member and Community Relations for the Hemophilia Alliance. And we're going to talk all about HTCs. This segment is brought to you by CSL Behring, a global biotherapeutics leader focused on serving the rare disease community by providing innovative therapies. They now have a first-of-its-kind treatment for hemophilia B. To learn more about this treatment option, visit beyondhemb.com and download the B Support app from the App Store or Google Play to stay up to date on relevant information and manage your treatment journey.
You know, before I joined the Hemophilia Alliance, I was actually able to start working on what gene therapy was going to look like at a hemophilia treatment center. There's a lot of things that need to happen internally, operationally, right, to be ready to give a patient gene therapy. Not just how do we receive a drug and how do we infuse it, but what does the clinical care look like? How do we ensure that someone receiving this drug pre-post receives that quality clinical care moving forward? And it does look different than a patient receiving medication on a monthly basis or treating a bleed. So it sort of is rethinking both the operational component, the clinical component, and then how do you work with your partners and all of that. So, and partners is a broad term, right? Payer partners, institutional partners, if you work at a treatment center within a broader institution, working with your community members, and of course your patients. So there was a lot going on, continues to be a lot going on for hemophilia treatment centers to figure that out, to provide the best care possible.
I think our initial assumption going in was that a lot of the patients that might want this have resourced it through the trial process before. I thought that the uptake was going to be reasonably slow. It's been a little slow in terms of patient acceptance or outreach to gain access to the treatment. But we are working through. It seems to be picking up more recently in terms of patient interest and provider readiness to provide the services. And we've been navigating through several issues in the insurance realm that just are still maturing relative to gene therapy. Things like, traditional prior auth processes that say, yeah, this is medically necessary, but it's not a guarantee of payment. You will most certainly find variation in state laws around the definition of medical necessity. I think there's just sort of a general view of a layperson's view of medical necessity, treating a condition that you have, and particularly as it relates to a pharmaceutical product. Is it treating and indicated for the condition that you have, and is it appropriate medical care? But you're going to see a lot of variation in response to that question, and I think everybody struggles with it. You see it in provider contracts, you see it in master plan documents and certificate of benefits, and almost never does the language perfectly align, unfortunately. Well, that's a bit of a problem for a provider that has to outlay a significant cost to drugs. So we're trying to help our treatment center members navigate through these things. And I think we are learning along these lines, along this process, along this path. But I think also providers and insurers are kind of learning as we go through it as well. I mean, remember, this is a reasonably narrow population for a particular disease state relative to gene therapy. So it's been one step at a time, and I think there's been a little bit of learning on all ends at each case that we've been intersecting with.
Yeah, I think treatment centers are deciding how they want to do this and how they want to move forward. I think a lot of treatment centers are moving forward with they want to do it in-house, right? They want to be able to purchase the drug, infuse their patient, and do the follow-up care. There's some hemophilia treatment centers out there that have decided that maybe they don't have the infrastructure for that, but they may want to work with another hemophilia treatment center to do the infusion. So making sure that they're following the patient at their clinic as they normally would, and then maybe they would go to another hemophilia treatment center to receive that infusion, and maybe that immediate post-infusion follow-up. And then that patient would transfer back to their home clinic. So sometimes we call that the hub and spoke model. So the hub being the place of the infusion, and then the spoke being that home hemophilia treatment center.
I think Zack is right. There's a lot of complexity to the breadth of services that are necessary to be ready to deliver this therapy.
Behind the scenes mechanics of payment for gene therapy that maybe slowed things down in the beginning. And then I also think there's a lot of education going out to patients. Treatment centers are prepared and ready. They've been talking to each other to figure out, best practices. I think from the payer level, we're starting to see better consistency amongst the payers around policy and what a single case agreement might look like or payment terms might look like. And so it has been a slow roll. We definitely do see it increasing moving into the future now. And I think part of it is just this is such a different product than other products that have come to market, right? So it's not just a factor product that can be stored in your refrigerator and you infuse on maybe a semi-similar cadence. It's not an injection. There's a lot of labs that are needed. There's a lot of follow-up that's needed. So, it's not just a light switch that turned on. It definitely kind of required some building of the plane to get it before we're flying it. And so I think that's where we're there now, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's education. It has been a little bit of a wait and see. I think if you sort of remove the kids for a moment and you think about the remainder of the population, there's definitely a population that seems to be eager, but cautiously eager, waiting to sort of see what gets reported in terms of outcomes. And then there's, an older population. I have a colleague who over his life has gone through changes to products pretty routinely when he was younger. Now that he's older, he's very stable on a product, and he's sort of like, I'm not sure I want to put myself through another change. Some of them didn't go so well. And so, there's just, I think, different viewpoints in the population. And as sort of Zack said, I think there's a sweet spot in the population of people that are very, very eager for this, that are, again, still sort of learning, maybe don't want to surface and say, hey, I need to understand if my product is covered. Who are they going to go to? They're certainly not probably eager to call their human resources department and say, is my $3 million drug covered? So I think it's just really an educational issue. And the more experience we have, the more patients that sort of roll through it, I think it'll continue to pick up. This population is more educated about their disease state than maybe any population in my career in healthcare. This is a new thing, and there are things that are provided, master plan documents, and you can call your insurer directly. I would say that Zack sort of alluded to it earlier, that the best probably avenue and resource is going to be the provider, the social worker at the Hemophilia Treatment Center. Those that can really get at the questions, provide evidence of medical necessity that the criteria are met for this patient to get treatment, and have a legitimate conversation with a health plan medical director or whomever it might be.
I think when you look at the hemophilia population, we know approximately the number of people in the U.S. with hemophilia A or B. There's a lot of gene therapy products coming to market in a lot of broader populations. And we are sort of the first to kind of figure this out on the outpatient side, right?
We're on the cusp of lots of gene therapy treatments in different disease states. And our insurance system, our healthcare system, our public payer system is going to have to find a way to fund these things and appropriately fund them, and look for ways, whether it's creating the old reinsurance pools or high risk pools or those kinds of things, to spread this cost over a greater population, subsidize it in a way. I mean, these are amazing treatments. For some people, they're life-changing treatments. They're going to occur in other areas. It isn't just hemophilia. It's going to happen in cancer. It's going to happen probably in dementia and Alzheimer's patients. And so who are we to prevent this? This is like exciting advances in medicine that people deserve. And so we have to find a way as a healthcare system, collectively, everybody, find a way to finance it and make these things continue to be available to patients.
Thank you, Zack. Thank you, Roland. Once again, this segment has been brought to you by CSL Behring, which now has a first-of-its-kind hemophilia B treatment. Visit beyondhemb.com or download the B Support app wherever you get your apps for more information.